Skinwalkers. Now, if you go and look online at a site like 4chan, or hell, Reddit, creepypasta.com, anything like that, you're gonna find tons and tons of stories about a Native American creature known as a Skinwalker. Now, in most tales, they're basically rogue medicine man, guys with supernatural powers who can shapeshift into anything that they have the skin of, whether that be commonly something like a dog, or in other cases, something far stranger like a kind of humanoid dog, like pretty much, a furry or something like that. Either way, the stories of them, sightings of them, even supposed reports of them, are inanely common these days. So we have to ask ourselves, are these rogue medicine men real? And are they running around? Now, most of the time, they take on a humanoid form. While it's usually, in fact, barely ever exactly humanoid, like it never looks like a person, totally at least. It usually looks like a really bad imitation of a person, like it looks like them but their skin is falling off, or like it's a skin suit that they're wearing on the person. Really, really dark crap like that, But the thing is that they're always doing that kind of stuff. Always vaguely humanoid, which has led to some interesting speculation about that. Now, there's all these different reports of things that people are not sure if they're Skinwalkers, Wendigos, the Rake, Slenderman, that kind of crap. And it makes you wonder if all of these things are just kind of interconnected on a certain level. Like, Java, I don't care, stop trying to update. I never give you permission. Now you might be wondering to yourself, how could all of these things be interconnected? In which case, the answer would be something along the lines of a Skinwalker. Now, I should probably preface this by saying a Skinwalker, a lot of the lore on them sort of contradicts itself. Most Native Americans hate talking about them because they're afraid by saying their name, you're summoning them, basically. In which case, I've really just boned myself by, saying like that word 55 times now. Anyway, we don't have a great wealth of information on them like we do on many other strange creatures. Either way, though, perhaps one of the Skinwalker's innate abilities is the ability to sense what their enemies, their opposition, or more accurately, their prey is afraid of, and they can take on that form. Yeah, I know that doesn't necessarily mean they have the skin of that thing, and that doesn't exist, they're taking the form of it, but whatever. Semantics, right? So they're taking on weird forms that they know we're going to be afraid of, that they're terrified of, in order to freak us out. Now, perhaps this could be something else, perhaps this could be some form of demon or malevolent spirit that wants to stay relevant by freaking people out and gaining the emotion of fear from their prey. That way they can use that energy to further their own existence and stay alive, basically. Either way, whether it be a Skinwalker or a demon or a spirit, all of them are essentially trying to take on the forms of things that they know we'd be afraid of. Things that, while they might have simply originated earlier from just, something like a creepypasta or an online scary story from YouTube or something like that, they're something that we think are terrifying, and so they're taking on that form. Sort of like a malevolent thought form, as they're referred to, like a tulpa. Tulpas themselves originate from ancient Tibet, specifically from ancient Buddhism, if I recall correctly. The idea was you could think really hard about something, about basically creating a sort of imaginary friend for yourself, except for adults. And with enough intense exercise on the brain, you'd be able to visualize them, as well as hear them in your head. I recall hearing somewhere that certain cults also try to use them and create more physical manifestations of them, of these thought forms, and using them as guards, but I have never seen anything to verify it. It's an interesting idea, though. Anyway, it sort of comes out of that same idea of a thought form, or a byproduct of a person's own imagination. Have you ever noticed how monsters usually change over time? By that I mean how in one century the biggest threat is going to be vampires, witches, and that kind of stuff. But in days like this, it's Bigfoot, Slender Man, and all that other weird kind of crap. I'm leaving out aliens here because aliens are a subject for another video entirely. But anyway, for creatures like yetis and that kind of stuff, cultures often end up creating monsters as a byproduct of the cultures. We see so much stuff on Bigfoot, on Dogman, on Chupacabras, that kind of stuff. So much stuff on them. And well, yeah, most of it is fake. There always is that little bit of it that finds itself tied together with other stories of similar phenomena very well. And then we always find the strange cases, the prior cases, the stuff that makes no sense. And I'm just speculating here, but I can't help but wonder if that kind of stuff, that is its own unique byproduct of the culture. The other stuff, the stuff that connects together very well, the stuff where you can check off a bullet list and all the different phenomena that happens in there fulfills that list. But the other stuff, the weird prior cases that make no sense, if that is the end result of something that's either A, thought form / tulpa, or B, a skinwalker. Something that's just either attacking people or otherwise antagonizing people for nothing more than giggles. Something that outright hates humanity and loves to toy with it. Either just, as I said earlier, for giggles, or because it can somehow entrap their fear energy, for lack of a better term. In which case, one can't help but wonder how you would fight against it. I suppose the best thing here I could say is through the, albeit cliche, power of just outright courage, or otherwise inner strength. Although, I do think religion would help. As long as you have actual faith in the deity that you are praying to, theoretically it should be able to aid you. Theoretically here, being that you you believe, basically. Alternatively, the best way to end such a problem would be through the usage of just not circulating information about them online. Reports, sightings, creepypastas, that kind of stuff. If that kind of stuff stopped being shared in the public sphere, I guarantee the massive amount of sightings of them online would end quite abruptly at that. As it's that knowledge, that confirmation almost, of what they are is really circulating them greatly. It's almost like validating the existence of something spins a whole new value and just multiplies said value on said thing, which is greatly in effect here with Skinwalkers, Bigfoot, everything like that. By talking about them, by saying that word out loud, you're giving them power, you're giving them ability and influence, not just over you, but over the physical world itself. So, of course, if everybody shut up and stopped talking about that, such things would end. In fact, if people stopped talking about the paranormal in general, the paranormal world would probably be dead the next day. The science, when you get right down to it, has already dealt a massive blow to the paranormal world. And you have to ask yourself what state it's actually in right now. The paranormal, I mean. Is the paranormal in a very healthy state? Reached out more so than ever through everybody talking about it or online and stuff like that? Or is it dying painfully right now due to science? Most people really go both ways with it. You can find people talking about both sides of the coin. Some people are terrified that their livelihoods in paranormal investigating is going to be gone tomorrow because all the ghost spots have dried up. Others are laughing because they're making a fortune right now off of the paranormal. Indeed, it's a rather interesting situation. It's one that I can't help but wonder how long it's going to continue for. Perhaps it's crazy of me to say this, but I do believe that sooner or later, one of these options is going to be validated. And that one day, people are just going to stop talking about the paranormal entirely, or another day, all those monsters we talk about hiding in the woods or hiding in the peripheries of our vision are going to burst out from said spots and make themselves wholly apparent to us. Honestly, I'm not sure which option is more terrifying. Because of the supernatural world that is, that's almost like half of the strange and wonderful and crazy things that happen to us when we're so lucky for them to happen to us are going to be completely gone. Like the entire world would just be nothing but the same daily grind of routine, day in and day out for the rest of our existences, which have now just become completely uniform and without any sense of individuality or mystique to them. On the other hand, a world where the paranormal is apparent in everybody's lives would be the complete opposite. Everything would be different and there would be no solace to take place in the daily routine. You couldn't be comfortable about anything because everything would be constantly changing and shifting. Every single second of every single minute of every single day. You could not be able to predict anything. In that, you could find very little comfort. Unless you're one of those people who prides yourself in your ability to thrive in a chaotic environment. In which case, well, this is the world for you, buddy. But for most of us, I don't think we'd be too happy with it. Although, I think all of us have a piece inside of us that can't help but ever so slightly feel tempted by the idea of a world where we don't go to our boring jobs every single day, and where society has fallen apart and it's become a Mad Max post-apocalyptic world full of pure and utter craziness. As it stands, both the present and the future of such things are completely unknown to any of us. It's a strange world out there that we live in, full of many strange things. Some of these things like hide in the forest around us, others like to hide in plain sight. But I think that the ones we must be most wary of are the ones that hide inside of us. Whether it be beneath our very skin, or inside of our own mind. The human mind is a powerful thing, and I don't think any of us are ever going to truly understand or really comprehend the power that such a thing holds. Whether it be in the production of some sort of sentient life form, birthed by our own imagination, or it be in the horrible hallucinations we might see on a dark and misty night. Now that I think about it, I should probably give some more context to the Skinwalker and Wendigo connection. So as said previously, Skinwalkers are rogue shamans, medicine man, that kind of thing. However, there's also a not so much similar creature. There's entities known as Wendigos. Yeah, you know the one. That guy over there who played Until Dawn. Wendigos are people who have been possessed by the spirit of ice, or the spirit of north as it's referred to sometimes. Alternatively, they have eaten human flesh. Parentheses, if you're possessed by the spirit of north / ice, that means you're probably gonna go and eat human flesh, so you're gonna become a cannibal. Regardless, but semantics. Now then, the thing about these Wendigos is that they eat human flesh, and that causes them to lose their own humanity. A hole opens up their stomach, and they start trying to eat more and more humans. Now, in some different tribes, the idea is that the more humans you eat, the larger and larger you grow, but because of the hole in your stomach, you're always going to feel hungry. Which makes no sense, but it's also pretty metal. The alternative idea is that instead they always stay the same size, however they're always also going to stay extremely aggressive towards any kind of humans they meet. Now, why the confusion between the two? Firstly, because most people don't know any better. Secondly, because the Wendigo was never given any kind of true official description. Nobody ever came and was like, oh, this is what the Wendigo looks like. No tribal elder would ever was like that. If you go on something like Google Images, what you're going to find when you type in Wendigo is either an extremely emaciated humanoid figure, you know, something that sounds pretty much exactly like the Skinwalkers we were talking about earlier, or you're going to find a really thin, emaciated human male, except he has antlers, or in some cases a deer skull and antlers, which is a rather popular view. However, if I recall correctly, that originated from an old movie maker, although I can't say that for sure. If I find the evidence I found a while back for it, I'll post it in the description or whatever. But in the meantime, just take that with a grain of salt. Either way, both of these ideas are, well, rather problematic and really don't help to differentiate between Wendigos and Skinwalkers, which leads us to the problem we face today, and the fact that those two just go hand in hand so often. However, as mentioned at the beginning of my description about Wendigos, Wendigos eat people. So many of these sightings feature creatures that instead like to mess with people, almost in a mischievous kind of way, except, you know, really brutal too. Wendigos can either be just flat out evil and aggressive, or they can mess with you. But I think that the more common thing is that they would like to just go and eat your face, you know? Wendigos shouldn't stick around and play with their food. They should just go in and eat the face. All the faces of all the people. They have no reason to stick around and just generally be a nuisance to people, or otherwise harass people, which so many of the Skinwalker sightings seem to imply. It's a bit of a common theme for Skinwalkers to just go and harass people before they finally go in for the killing stroke, or whatever else qualifies for them. Now, I mentioned the Rake earlier. I feel I should bring that up again. The Rake this one definitely originated from a creepypasta. A rather well-known creepypasta at that. Once again, thin, emaciated humanoid figure, except this one has really long fingers occasionally. Now that creepypasta absolutely blew up. Oh yeah, creepypastas are online scary stories. That's really all there is to them. Now the Rake really blew up. It was featured on tons of creepypasta narrator channels and even some channels that cared nothing about online scary stories, because it just became that popular. The way the creepypasta was written, that it was framed as a sort of documentary of sorts about a creature known as the Rake. They would go and catalog fake, different supposed sightings of the Rake. All in all, it was not a bad creepypasta, rather entertaining for what it set out to do, and it accomplished that stuff pretty well. That aside, it led to real-life supposed sightings of the Rake, which is rather odd because, well, the Rake doesn't exist and came from a fictional creepypasta. Now, the interesting thing to note is that white, emaciated human figures is such a common theme here. I'm sure if you looked hard you could find even more supposed creatures similar to the Rake, Skinwalkers, Wendigos, and everything else like that. This whole theme, almost, of white humanoid figures is very, very common, which is, well, rather interesting for obvious reasons. Now, why would this be so common? What reasons are there for this cliche, almost? step away from that question for a moment and let me ask you another question. In one of those horror movies people like to watch frequently these days, the monster, what do they look like? Are they perhaps pale and humanoid? Yes, it's a running theme here, isn't it? Now, why is it a running theme, though? Truthfully, I can't say. Perhaps it's a reflection of our fear of dying and our bodies withering away. Perhaps it's slightly racist. Once again, who can say? All in all, though, may lead some people to think that perhaps, just perhaps, this is all the same creature. The same pale humanoid creature running around. And that could be the truth. Really though, this as a whole, these same features applying to, well, what is essentially the same creature who is spread out across all of these different sightings, reports, and everything else, including a creepypasta that's well known for being a creepypasta. It leaves us all on the brink of a mystery. A very strange mystery at that. Perhaps this is, well, maybe just a massive coincidence. Maybe people aren't creative. Or this goes far deeper than that and serves as a question many people should be thinking right now. Either way, it is something that I believe we all should perhaps give a few moments of time to speculate about, even if that speculation is entirely wasted. Feel free to leave your speculation as a comment below, because I love comments. Also, that's probably not just a shameless plug for comments. Okay, you got me, it is. Either way, thank you for sitting through this little ramble of mine, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful day.